Here you can see Lizzie working on her place command. I just referenced to the bed, telling her place, and she hops on there. When she goes to prematurely step off, I say, Be mindful, Lizzie's going to do a little bit of that excess scratching because she has 2 collars on. So it's still an adjustment, and she's going to definitely do that when she comes home. Just keep it in mind, it's because she's just getting used to that feeling still. Now you can see that I've stepped out of view and I created quite a bit of distance between her and I. And that's the whole point of this place command, is to have her go somewhere and be content. You want to find an object like a bed or something to use as the place command. You can also use a rug or anything along those lines. No, it does not have to be the same bed every time, and it does not have to be one location, but you just need something for her to physically step on that's different than the floor, so that she can differentiate between being on the regular hardwood floor or ground to being on a bed instead. So raised beds are great, but if you have a plush bed or a rug, that's fine too. You can see I stepped out of view for quite some time here. I changed out of my boots and back into my other shoes, and she held the place even while I stepped out of sight and walked into my mud room. And she held it like a champ, as I knew she would be able to. She is very, very strong with this command. So when she comes home, just keep in mind that sometimes putting a new material underneath them can be a little hard for them to generalize. So you may have to do those steps of putting her back on there when she breaks away and just doing some repetition in the beginning. But once she's used to that pad or bed, whatever you may use, then she should be smooth sailing from there. Again, just pointing to the bed, telling her place. You can see she gets really excited. She missed the bed and hopped right back on when she realized she was a little too energetic. She's a really good girl. You can use this command when company comes over or while you're cleaning the house. But you can do this anywhere in your home or outside. So it does not mean that it has to be one specific bed in one specific room. It can be any type of bed in any location. You just want to make sure she is adapted and desensitized to stepping onto that object.
Okay. Good girl. Ready? Lizzie. Place. Ah. Yes. Ah. Ah. Yes. Good girl.
I took the trash down while she was holding the place command, just to demonstrate to you that this is a great command when you're trying to get things done, and that she can hold it even with really big distractions.
place. Ah, place. Okay. Place.
Here, I am working with Lizzie to get her to go to place from a little bit of a distance. You can gain with the distance from the bed over time, but right now, just wanted to make sure I didn't have to hover or stand right next to the bed to get her on there. So it was kind of a fun game of getting her on there and then the release word and then repetition with that so that she understands no matter where I was standing, when I said place, I wanted her to go on there. When I would say it and she wouldn't immediately do it, I would take a step every so many seconds. I would count in my head and I would close the distance until she would go on there. And then I would say, yes, good girl. But this just shows her that even if I'm further away from the bed and I say place, she still has to end up on there. This is not something you can use the collar for right now. She does not understand exactly what I'm asking of her other than that I say place and I'm inching closer. And once we get close enough to the bed, she figures out that I want her on there. So you definitely have to continue practicing with this. And the more you practice with it, the better she will get with it and the further you'll be able to stand away from the bed. And that being said, once she has it down pat is when you're able to use the tone or vibrate to make her follow through. So just never using that collar for anything that she's not super strong with or knows 100%. Even if you think she knows it, but you second guess in the slightest if she knows it completely through and through, then do not use the collar. Otherwise, you're going to ruin that command. We want her to respect the collar and not be afraid of it. So it is not a tool to make her do something like a robot, but instead it is meant to be utilized to make her follow through for something she knows through and through.
Good girl. Good job. Yes. This way.
Here you can see Lizzie and I demonstrating her off-leash heel. I say this way whenever changing direction, and I'll put my hand out and have her almost do a touch command, but I do not say touch. Instead, I say heel, and when I put my hand out, Lizzie comes up and kind of boops it with her nose, and that's great. It shows me and her that we are on the same page, and that when I say heel and she touches my hand, that's when we continue walking. I do slow up for her if need be, especially if we've been working for quite some time and she's getting tired. That being said, she's really good with this, and if she starts to backpedal and doesn't want to walk to my left side, I would pull out a treat and go back to that luring phase. It's never a bad thing to take a step back if that's what she needs. So keep that in mind, but she's doing really great with her off-leash heel, and I'm very proud of her. I even picked up the pace a little bit to try and see if I could throw her off a little bit, but she did perfect. So again, putting that hand out there just to make sure we're on the same page, and she comes up and boops it, and I match it with a positive marker word.
This way. Good. This way. Let's go, let's go. Yes! Sit. Down. Down. No.
So for this part of Lizzie's go home video, we're going to do her recall. She's sticking pretty close right now, but we are at the manor, so because she's at my house most days of the week, she may want to try and venture and maybe ignore. Don't mind the baby. He loves trying to teach the dogs with me. So it looks like she might have to go potty, so I'm going to give her a chance to do that before I try to give her the come command. The worst thing to do is give the come command, and as she's doing that, I'll just show you the scenery here. It's beautiful, and it's very wide open. So the biggest thing to do is you want to make sure that we're giving her time to go potty, and if she's giving signs like she's going to go potty, that is the worst time to give her recall, because we want it to be that we set her up to actually come back. So while she's going potty and things, let her do her business. I noticed that Lizzie goes to the bathroom more than once on our morning walks as well as our evening walks. So making sure she gets ample amount of time to do so will, one, deter any accidents as well as will help with her recall. So Lizzie, come. So as you saw there, I said her name. She looked at me. I even gave a whistle just to make sure that she definitely looked at me, gave me her focus. Lizzie, make sure she comes all the way through. We don't want it to be that she just comes partially back. Come. Good girl. Sit. Sit. Good girl. Very good. Okay. And the reason I want her to come all the way up to me is I don't want her to think that she only has to come within a certain range. Otherwise, she's not completely following through. But as I was saying, just making sure that we set her for success, that she's looking at me before I give that come command. Let's go. Leave it. Lizzie. So they do use fertilizer, so I'm just going to give her a vibrate because I said leave it. And I gave her a little bit of tone because she ignored the vibrate, but not much. So we'll carry on with our walk. Let her get some distance. Lizzie, come. Good girl. Sit. And the reason I make her sit is it just slows her down. Good girl. Okay. And it's like I'm giving a whole nother command. It makes the sit become automatic down the road. So the more that you make that a habit and a cycle and type of repetition, the better it'll be. That eventually you'll say, Lizzie, come. She'll come from all the way across the field and sit right next to you. And that's what you want. It takes a lot of conditioning, takes a lot of work, and you have to follow through. So not taking her out without her collar on, because if she thinks that maybe she can get away with it, it'll be the one time that you don't have that collar on to make her follow through. And I do feel it's important that you do have it on her because we want her to be successful, and she is going through that teenage phase. So to make this a successful thing, making sure that collar is on to be able to reach out and touch her as needed. Lizzie, come. Oh, she's staring at me. So I'm going to say before I give a vibrate or tone, because those are the warnings. And then now I'm giving a little bit of heat because she still was ignoring. And wait till she follows through. Until she gets all the way to me. Sit. Good girl. Okay. Good girl. Lizzie, come. Wait till she gets all the way here. So she turned around on me. I'm just going to give her tone. She doesn't really like the tone. Sit. But that means it's doing its job. Good girl. Sit. Good girl. Sit. Because I didn't give her the okay yet. Okay, good girl. And not that it's sit, and it's not like I'm giving her a stay. So the reason I'm giving that release word is to let her know, all right, you can go play, you can go do your thing. But again, it's just to slow her down a little bit so she's not just assuming what she is able to and what she's not able to do. Start heading up. Some distractions up there. Sniffing like maybe she's going to potty. And I think she does. This is one of the biggest things with Lizzie is just making sure she really gets enough time to go potty and investigate. As you see, she's doing a lot of sniffing and then circling. So that's how we know she's got to go potty. And she's doing another bowel movement, which this is very normal for her. Again, just not going to record her doing her business. Give her a little bit of privacy. And then when she's done, we'll resume. But just keep in mind that she does go potty quite a bit. We want to make sure that she is being set up for success by going potty when she needs to, as often as she needs to, and she has time to do it completely. Just because you see her do one pee and one poop does not mean she's done. Give her time and just watch for the signs and signals as you just saw there. Lizzie, come. So get her to look at me, and I won't give that come command until she does look at me. Sit. Saying those commands once. Good girl.
So here we have Lizzie's remote. The two buttons on the right side, the top one is lock and the bottom one is power, so it turns on the remote, only the remote. And then the two front buttons, the bottom one is tone, so red is tone, black is vibrate, and they are displayed on the screen so that you can remember top is vibrate, bottom is tone. The two buttons on the left side, the bottom is constant and the top is momentary. Those two are displayed on the screen itself. So you hold down the lock button, which is the top right-sided button, and things will start to flash on the screen. And that's when you are able to adjust the settings for the amount of tone, or the volume of tone, I should say, as well as the amount of heat given to her. I found as though 25 was a great number for her. She probably would not need anything higher than that unless an emergency situation. But 20 is a good number, or 23 is a good number to keep it on a regular. But if you have to turn it up, 25 is where I would go to.